Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me for a cup of happiness. I hope you had a great week, and I'm wishing you a brilliant week next week. December is going so fast. But what I wanted to talk about today is about your inner authority, why it's important, what it is, and how to build it. So when you have a strong inner authority, it's this band of strength that you have within you that helps you witness you. So witnessing is a skill where you watch yourself with curiosity from outside of yourself. With curiosity, not judgment, not trying to catch yourself doing something wrong, but just to understand yourself better. And it's when, if a comment is made, that comes your way, whether it's a criticism, whether it's a compliment, we can go inside and go, do we think this is true? Is this really how we're showing up? Is this how we want to show up? And if we don't have this band of strength within ourselves, because we know ourselves so intimately, so well, then that means that we're going to try to find our value, our truth from the outside, from Facebook, from friends, from family, from anyone and everyone, because we don't have it in here. And it's very difficult to be uniquely you, to be authentic, if you don't have that strong band of inner authority within. It's difficult to be honest, to not wear masks, to appreciate and honor the unique way that we've been created and the unique way that we show up in the world. It took me a long time, long journey to really gain a full perspective of who I am and how I show up and why I do the things that I do. One of the exercises I'll never forget that we did at the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. Was they gave us this piece of paper, and I think it was like a flower, and then it had petals, and you were supposed to write on the petals your I am statements. And so your I am statements, the two rules is they have to be positive and you have to believe them. I think there may have been like 8 petals on the flower. I think I could only think of 4. But when I looked around me, I wasn't the only one who was struggling with writing positive I am statements that I know for sure about me on that flower. I was so used to showing up in masks. Our masks can be, how we're always happy. Our masks can show up as always being so wise and grounded. Our masks can be angry. Our masks can, I am an energy worker, so I am one with the universe. And I'm not saying that any of those are incorrect for people. I mean, there are some people who really are deeply connected to the universe. There are people who are happy most of the time. I can honestly say that pre-COVID, I was happy most of the time. I'm struggling more now. So being authentic and having a strong inner authority are very commingled. And also, our self-confidence comes into play, right? When we know intimately our greatness and our bad habits, which is just our greatness, it's being distorted through fear. When we know ourselves so intimately, then we don't feel as much shame for who we are. We don't feel as much shame for being imperfect. We don't feel as much shame for having bad habits. We don't feel so much shame about whether people will like us or not like us. Now, I'm not saying that you should live your life, with not caring, with the bravado of, I don't care what people say about me, because that's crap. That's just crap. We all care what people think about us. No one wants to be disliked by someone. But when people show up in our lives that don't, for whatever reason, like us, it will hurt, but it won't destroy you. And as one of my first business coaches ever told me, is that 5% of the world is going to hate you no matter what you say, no matter what you wear, no matter how you show up. There will be no convincing 5% of the world that you are the brilliant, amazing, powerful, strong, courageous being that you are, and unique. So one time at band camp, no, I'm kidding. Once I was working with a client, and this client was getting ready to divorce their spouse, and their spouse decided to focus on me as the reason why they were getting divorced. And this person didn't have very many nice things to say about me. And we were in a lot of the same business and networking circles. And I would hear what this person was saying about me behind my back. And I had to go deep into my inner authority to see if it was true. So was I really showing up as that bad, evil, manipulating, conniving person? No. Was it really my fault that they were divorcing? Nope, I wasn't in their relationship. And because I had been working on my inner authority for so long, because I have written and rewritten and rewritten and rewritten my I am statements ad infinitum over the years, because I've become more comfortable accepting my perfect imperfections, because I know everyone else has them, it was easier for me to look inside and decide that all I had to do was just to continue showing up in the way that I always show up. And then people could make their own decisions about whether what this person was saying was true or not. But if I hadn't taken the time to build that inner authority, I could have possibly collapsed, or I could have hidden, or I could have given my power to that person and stopped showing up in that business circle or those business circles and found other places to go because I was too ashamed. So building a strong inner authority doesn't create a superiority that you are better than other people. It just means you know what your fears are and you know how you can react due to those fears. It means you know what your brilliance is and you pat yourself on the back for them and be grateful for them. And it means that when you're bad, when you show up in your bad habits, you can more easily see it, witness it, and shift it. And if that meant if by showing up in your bad habits, you created some kind of a mess, then you could clean it up, if possible. Sometimes we do things that we can't clean up, or we can only clean up part of the way. So when people say, Cindy, you're loud, Cindy, you're big, Cindy, you can be too much. Yeah, I can. I can be too loud. I can be too big, and I can be too much. I can. And if I show up that way, it might be because I have a fear of not being seen or heard. So I would get really big and really dramatic and really a lot. It could be a lot. Because that really young part of my psyche was screaming, look at me, look at me. There was another part of my psyche was like going, no, don't look at me. No, don't. And for years, and I mean years, I believed I was stupid. I believed that I was bad. I believed that if someone really looked at me and saw me, even though I desperately wanted that they would see ugliness within me. We all have ugliness inside of us. We all do. Some people tap into it more frequently, more intensely than others. It's a good thing to look at, that ugliness, because it's not real. The ugliness that other people might see, maybe, are just your fears. And I say just your fears, right? Oh, it's just your fears. You just have to face your fears. I love the positive psychology world. I really, really do. I think it has so many benefits. I think it is so necessary. But I think it also tells us some tales, right? And we can use it to escape really healing those places that need work. So as one client once told me, we are all good people with some bad habits. And I do believe that. So I am statements. I have my clients write them. As I said, I've written them ad infinitum. And then I ask them to interview their spouse, their family, their best friends, and say, what do you see in me? What good do you see in me? Like, why do you love being my partner? Why have you kept me around as a friend for so long? Like, why? Why? Curious. What makes me a good mom? What do you see in me that I might not see in me due to fear? Those places that we keep in shadow. Those places where we just need to shed some light on them. And I'm always amazed at what other people say about me that I wouldn't have written down, and what people say about my clients when they ask and interview them that they would never have written down. To see, interviewing someone to look at you and see you with that positive light is not about vanity. It's about what do you see that lives and breathes within me that to you is so obvious, but to me, I haven't fully manifested that within me yet because I don't see it yet. So when someone looks at you and tells you you're beautiful or you're handsome or you're gorgeous or you're stunning or you're brilliant, what do? Do you go, oh yeah, no, no, I don't see that. Thanks though. So do you negate it? Do you not let it in? Or do you go, yeah, give me more. Or do you look at them and go, why do you say that? Like, what have I done that makes you believe that about me? And I had this, belief that I was stupid, right? My husband, my ex-husband, so brilliant. I mean, with math and I mean, he's just an incredibly intelligent person. And I always, when I first was with him, I felt less than. I didn't feel as quick-witted. I didn't feel as educated. I didn't feel as good with numbers. And it really got to the point, the longer I stayed with him, and he and I were together for 25 years, if someone just yelled out 2 + 2, I wouldn't even answer it. I would just look at him and wait for him to answer it. I was stupid. He had graduated from college. I hadn't. I went to college as a dance major, and as a dance major, they don't expect much out of you in the normal academia. I would have an advisor say, oh, don't take economics. You're not that smart, but you can dance. That wasn't the truth. The truth was that my ex-mother-in-law was kind enough to send me back to college, where I graduated with honors and even won an award from the economics department of George Mason University. And as those A's kept rolling in from these classes that I was taking, I started to question my view of myself. Well, if I was really stupid, I couldn't get an A in statistics. I couldn't get an A in these economics classes. I couldn't if I was really stupid. So this little glint of hope, this little bit of steel started to form within me to start building my inner authority. When I started questioning the negative things I saw about me as a being and as an individual. But it was a hard one. I'll never forget, I was in a workshop and I was like 35 years old or maybe closer to 40, but I was still struggling with the I am smart thing. Like, I'm intelligent. And one of the teachers that was facilitating the workshop, because I had made a comment, and they said, "Oh my God, Cindy, I love how smart you are." And I just like stopped and I kind of looked around and people are nodding their heads. What? Why do you say that? What did I just say that made you think that I'm smart? And she told me. And I was like, oh, okay. More steel started coming in. And then my I am statements started becoming longer. I began to see parts of me like facets in a diamond. I began to look at myself differently. I was in another workshop about, gosh, I don't know how many years ago now, maybe 8 years ago. And it was all about trust. And we were told to go out. We were on this huge, beautiful farm in Virginia. And the facilitator of the workshop says, everybody go and find a spot and take your journals, and I want you to answer this question. If you could trust yourself more, you would blank. That was a really interesting question. So I love horses. Some of you might know that. I started riding when I was like 5 years old. And 3 years prior to this workshop, I had put down my last horse named Galileo. And he was just such a beautiful, princely warrior beast. I loved him with all of my heart. And in answering that question, I realized that Galileo tried to show me how athletic, strong, courageous, funny, talented, focused, loving, kind, patient, strong I am. And he tried to teach me that every time I was on his back for 8 years. And then, as I was sitting on this big rock, out on this big field, sun shining down, I started realizing what was really in here. What I had just played off or put off or, I just have a good I just have a good instinct about not wanting to die. And that's why I could stay on his back when he would rear, spin, gallop off, or he would jump over some little flowers like it was a 3-foot fence. And I would stay on. And I wrote a tiny book with a big message from that workshop. Because even though I had been building this inner authority within me over time, because it takes time, it's not something that you have tomorrow. I started owning my brilliance in a way I'd never done before. Animals can help you in so many ways. So writing your I am statements, interviewing other people, seeing what they see that you don't see. Going on your own path of self-discovery to witness why you do what you do all the time. Why you dress the way you do, why you speak the way you do, what you say, what you don't say, what you do, what you don't do. Why? Why? Without shame, without guilt, with curiosity. Why? So that when someone says something to you, either a critique or they give you a beautiful gift of a compliment, you can go inside and say, is this true? So that you don't have to wear masks. So that you can show up in your own unique, authentic way. So that you own you're a really good person with some bad habits that you're working on. So you don't give your power away to other people. And you don't have to ask Facebook, you don't have to ask the world, do you think I'm beautiful? Do you think I'm honorable? Do you think I should do? I could do? Now there are times when I'm not so intelligent. There are times when I'm not so loving. Good person with bad habits, right? Don't compare yourself to people on Facebook. Facebook lies. It's all right to have a bad day and not be smiling all the time. It's all right to struggle because you're a hugger and you can't hug people during a pandemic. And that there's grief in there because you're not getting the hugs and the love that are so abundant when there's not a pandemic going around. Where do you shine? And where do you sabotage your success, your love? So I encourage you, build your inner authority. Witness what you do, why you do, what you don't do, why you don't do it. Get to know yourself in such an intimate way, without shame, without guilt. Don't be afraid to apologize. Don't apologize for who you are, but maybe what you have done. When someone gives you a critique, go inside and look. If someone gives you a compliment, go inside and look. It's not as scary as you think it is. And it will, oh my goodness, having that really strong inner authority, knowing all the facets of how you show up and all the facets of you as a brilliant, amazing, imperfect person will help you clean up messes when you make them, will help you stand tall, and you show up as your most brilliant self. It'll help you be humble. It'll help you have more confidence. So start with I am statements. They have to be positive. You have to believe them. Because they will bring you that little cup of happiness. And I hope you have a really good week. Take care.